Jennifer Vatza from Belladonna's Botanicals. I thought I'd make this video today because I know I've talked about this pretty consistently over the past year in a lot of our monthly update videos, and I've mentioned it, I think, in live streams and past comments other in other videos. And I really wanted to talk about my feelings about being an Etsy seller, being a witchy Etsy seller nonetheless, because it is different depending on the types of products you're selling. So I personally have a lot of issues with my products because they're all herbal based, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I really want to kind of go into the whys and wherefores because I, you know, had literally not really any problems with Etsy until about a maybe about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I've been I opened my Etsy shop in 2018. So it's what, 5 years, over almost 6 years now. Yeah, 5 years, I think. Um, on Etsy alone, I probably have, I think last time I looked, over 17,000 sales, or 17,000 items sold. I think that's how they quantify that number. It's not individual sales; it's individual. So I've sold over 17,000 items on Etsy, which is a lot. Especially for them being, all handmade items, not like supplies like crystals or things like that I order in bulk. Like I do sell some crystals on there, but still, that's not the majority of my shop is having thousands of crystal listings and selling thousands of crystals. Because some of those people have like 200,000 sales, in that thing. But so where did this start? So about a year ago in April of 2022, or early in 2022 at some point, Etsy decided to increase. There's been like a steady progression of things. Actually, even some of this might go back to 2021, but there's been a steady increase of things Etsy has done that has been really, harmful to its sellers. So the first of that, what I wanted to talk about was in 2022, they, after the pandemic and having record billions of dollars in sales, decided, hey, you know how we want to celebrate this, our billions of revenue? Let's start, let's start making more money from our sellers. And so they increased their fees per transaction and stuff like that. So now what a lot of us have had to do to compensate for that is raise our prices. Now, and it's really like, again, it's really hard to tell how much per product because it doesn't come out like, okay, you sold this product for $20, we took $5 in fees. It's like, okay, so you have your 20% listing fee, then you have your a transaction fee, and then you have you have all these other things, and including, and if you want, and pro tip for buyers here, the reason you pay a lot more for shipping on Etsy is because they also take a shipping transaction fee, and they take that whether or not the seller actually prints their labels on Etsy. I use ShipStation because it integrates all of my sales platforms into one place. Pirate Ship is another one people use. I don't use Etsy labels, but they still charge me a label fee. That's akin to like the way Ticketmaster charges you a fee to print out your own labels at home or your own tickets at home or like to have the phone. That's kind of what that's like. And the other problem, one of the reasons I don't use Etsy labels is because, and then I know a lot of other people have this issue too, is there's been numerous times after I've printed a label and shipped an item, it gets scanned at the post office, and then somehow I got charged like an extra $5 for that label. I'm like, the weight may have been off by an ounce, not enough to try. And like even sometimes with international, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't miscalculate this by $40. So that I don't have that happen with ShipStation. They don't charge. I don't get like a thing. I don't know. Maybe they'll implement it at some point in time. I know Amazon, if you use their labels now, they're implementing like if it doesn't match the dimensions and exact weight, then they might do over under charges for you. Because if you've said something I'm like, oh, this is probably 10 ounces and it was 8 ounces and there was, a 50-cent difference. They'll credit you the 50 cents. Etsy doesn't credit you. You just get charged more if you fuck up on that. But, and sometimes people have been like, there's no way. I know how much this weighs. What the heck? Like, how is this? How are we getting charged all this extra money for shipping? So, because Etsy has, they do their labels, I think, through Pitney Bowes and have, I guess, a deal with the U.S. Postal Service. So, but yeah, that's another thing where we get kind of screwed on that. So you may have paid $5 for shipping, and then suddenly we got slammed for something. So now we've paid $7 for it, or an extra couple bucks out of pocket for it. So that's the fee. So the fee things here, like you would think, okay, maybe they're adding additional services or adding additional features and things. But no, they haven't. In fact, things have gotten a lot worse. So I think it was later in 2021, they launched their Star Seller program. So the Star Seller program, there's 3 metrics, which luckily they changed a couple things with it over time. But there's 3 metrics in order to be a Star Seller, and it's based on a 3-month period of time. Initially, you had to have, I think, a certain level of 5-star ratings, but the problem was anything that was rated, anytime a customer left a rating between 1 and 4 stars, it was equivalent to a 1-star rating because they only looked at the metrics from the 5-star ratings. They now changed it to be cumulative. It's either 4.8 or 4.9. So, if you get the occasional butthurt customer who leaves a 1-star review, or someone who leaves, a 3 or 4-star review, because like it was so, like, a lot of sellers are like, this is so disheartening, because it's like, someone leaves a 4-star review and is like, oh my God, this is wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And they leave 4 stars, and they may as well have said, fuck you, and left us a 1-star review. That's how Etsy accumulated that. They did change that over time. So great. But still, you have to, maintain the, review, the cumulative 4.8, 4.9 rating. You also, this is the one that gets me the most, is when a customer reaches out for the first time, you have to respond within 24 hours. So it means you literally have to be checking your Etsy every day. Even if you're, I guess if, I'm not sure how it is if you put your shop in vacation mode and take some time off. But if your shop's not in vacation mode and you just extend, like once I sell my house, buy a house, and move, it's one of those things where I have to kind of like sit there and think, like, do I want to put my shop on vacation mode for X amount of time, or just extend shipping, like be like, okay, shipping times are now 5 to 7 days or 5 to 10 days or something like that for that time period. Or risk getting, missing, while I'm in the midst of chaotic moving mode, missing a first message and then getting a ding on that. So that has to have like a percentage of 90 something and above. I forgot to print out the metrics for that. And the other one is that, your stuff has to be shipped on time, which, usually, I'm not one to print out labels in advance. I mean, accidentally I've done it once or twice, but it's usually like, it'll go out like a day later than intended. But, so it sounds not a lot, but it does. What's the benefit of the Star Seller thing? Okay, well, so we get a little badge that says Star Seller, and maybe we get like a little bit higher ranking and like search results and stuff like that. The only benefit I can see to it right now, and I'm going to get to that in the next point, is when it comes to account reserves. I have not had, and I think it's not, they at least haven't been hitting the Star Seller people, but there's more and more shops now that are getting account reserves. And what that means is regardless of how many sales you have, regardless of your deposit schedule, like I mean, I have daily deposits going through. They're like, oh well, you have to have this amount in sales before we'll pay you. Which okay, great if you're a high, depending on, and that can vary wildly. But if you need to buy supplies for a custom order, that could be, a couple $100 or something. That's a little. It feels a little sketch. It feels a little bit like borrow from Peter to pay Paul on Etsy's part, and they've been doing it a lot lately. And some of the people are, it's not like they're doing this to new sellers to like, cut their teeth and prove their worth to Etsy and stuff like that. I mean, some of these people have had their shops for years. They have 20,000 in sales. They've never had any issues. And suddenly now they're being penalized and they never get really a reason as to why their account suddenly put on reserve. And also want to call bullshit on something. Etsy, if we have to answer our first contact emails in 24 hours, so does your customer service. I've been waiting over a month for a response, but we'll get to that. So these things all constantly kind of add up. And it's like with Amazon, I know what I'm getting into. And, with Amazon, I don't have a lot of, I mean, I maybe have, say, I wouldn't, maybe half of my products are available on Amazon. Or like, I only sell the perfume oils. I don't sell the EDP perfumes. I don't sell any of my custom products. Obviously, none of the flying ointments and things like that are on there. Excuse me. And they have and I had my own issues with Amazon, and I figured the way around it. I just don't list my ingredients on things anymore. That kind of solved a lot of my things getting delisted, because as I've mentioned before, when you can't convince customer service representatives who only know scripts, that your perfume doesn't, with opium fragrance oil in it, doesn't contain heroin. It is what it is. You live and learn. And you're like, okay, well, I'm just not putting my ingredients on here. If you have questions, email us, send us a message. Because I mean, people are allergic to things, or they don't like them, or they're like there's some stuff. Like I think people can make like with like tinctures and elixirs and stuff like that. Sometimes people can make them with like apple cider vinegar. I hate apple cider vinegar and would be really irked if I bought something and didn't know it was apple cider vinegar in it. So, and it's getting the same way with Etsy. Like as I've been going through and editing things, I've been just removing the ingredient listings because I keep having things delisted. The latest thing I read an article about on sort of, it was like, I forget the name of it. It was like an e-commerce bites, I think was the name of the website. But, and I haven't seen this because I don't really buy much from Etsy anymore for obvious reasons. But I've heard now that, so like when I print up the shipping label, you get a shipping notification. Now what Etsy's doing on the shipping notification is, oh, you bought this type of product. Let's just say you bought soap. So you bought a bar of soap from this thing. Here's some other companies that sell soap too. So you're using my shipping notifications on my products to advertise for other sellers? No. And it's just that they keep doing all these sketch things, and I've honestly, I think they're in a lot of financial trouble, to be honest. Like, I don't even know at this point. But so with the shipping notifications, that's another little thing there where you're like, really? And another thing, and this will happen once you reach a certain threshold. So if you sell more than $10,000 in sales within a year on Etsy, which really isn't that hard to do, depending on what you sell, is you get automatically forced into their Google Shopping ads. please, for the love of all that is holy, if you are ever searching for a product on Google for any shop, don't click the Etsy ads and Etsy products you see on Google, because even if you click it, that uh, business is getting charged like a click fee for it. And if you buy anything based on that train of click events, Etsy gets an even bigger cut of fees. And we can't opt out of it. You can opt out of it if you sell less than $10,000 a year. You can't once you get past that threshold. So another way that Etsy just, keeps sucking the lifeblood out of us. That's why, I mean, this is why I've had to raise my prices so much, was because, it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, why? By the time I buy a shipping label and send it, I'm like, I literally made $1 on this, because Etsy sucked out however much in their fees and whatnot. And it's like, there was a business. So the next thing I want to talk about, and this is what has gotten me a little more on the butthurt side of things with Etsy, is the policy violations and threats that come with them. Every time I get a policy violation for something, and it's always something innocuous that I have no idea, or they change a policy on something, and it's impossible to find what the issue is, or they'll delist a product, they'll delist something. So most recently, back in May, they delisted my Astral Travel flying ointment. It's got like mugwort, wormwood, I forget something else in it. But I think at that point, I had already rewritten the product description. I had removed the ingredients, and it still got delisted under their new medical claims policy. I have no idea why, because they've yet to respond to my numerous, like, hey, what the fuck, case emails on it. I may call them later and be like, hi, since no one seems to know how to, respond to this, I would like a response. Because what happens with these policy violations is there's no warning. There's, okay, we've delisted this because it goes against this policy, because it's just all probably bot scanning at this point. And repeat policy violations may result in your store being suspended or terminated permanently. And I've explained to them multiple times. I'm like, look, I'm highly educated in this. I want to work with you and be able to, because a lot of it with these things, it's just a matter of wording. And I have no idea in this particular product what the wording I use. The only thing I can think of was that in the side effect, in the safety precautions, I just, because of the herbs that were in it, I was like, don't take this if you have seizure disorders or epilepsy. That is the only thing that I can think of. I'm like, I'm not making, and I'm going to go over what each, what it says for their medical claims policy, because it's ridiculous. And I'm like, I don't know. The last product or two I had, removed was because, and I'd had them up for like 4 or 5 years, so I didn't even think of it in the descriptions, but like it just, there were 2 body oils that's kind of were like, oh, the essential oils used have strong affinities for, strong aphrodisiac properties. That's all I said. I didn't say, oh, this is going to give you a raging, boner, or, whatever. I mean, like, there's a difference between guaranteeing results and saying, hey, this is what this thing kind of can do. So let me look at the Etsy medical claims policy. So we've got disease claims, which is claims that an item prevents, heals, or treats, diagnoses, mitigates, or cures any medical condition or disease. Structure function claim, claims that an item will affect the structure or function of the body. So what that last one means is like, I made an anti-aging serum that, will make you look 20 years younger, So selling something under that guise, because there are a lot of FDA regulations for, and there's testing and things that, when you're making that kind of stuff. That's why I shifted more towards making magical stuff, because it was with the rest of it, it was just kind of like, it's just a matter of kind of, how do I sell this thing when I can't use any words to tell you what it actually does, what it's for, and whatnot? I've taken a lot of classes and seminars and learned a lot on like medical claims and stuff like this. Whatever Etsy is doing in here, they're not doing it very well. And, you know, I understand, and some countries do have much stricter regulations, like Spain, for example, has very strict cosmetic regulations and stuff like that. So, um, it is the seller's responsibility to know and follow any law or regulation that is applicable to them. If the seller makes or implies prohibited claims in their shop or in the presentation of an item, including title, description, tags, you can't even tag it. Like, I can't say, sexy massage oil and tag it like aphrodisiac or whatever. You can't even put a tag in for that kind of thing. Or images on the listing. Etsy reserves the right to remove things, and it's blah blah blah. Regardless of accuracy or legality, some types of disease claims are prohibited on Etsy. Though this list is not exhaustive, and definitely is not exhaustive, so we said with the can treat, mitigate, diagnose, or cure serious disease or medical condition such as cancer or heart disease. Can mitigate, diagnose, or cure sexual dysfunction or impotence. Is or as effective as an analgesic, antibiotic, antiseptic, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, steroid, vaccine, decongestant. Is as effective as a prescription drug. Is approved by the FDA. Sorry, my nail just broke. So blah blah blah. So regardless of accuracy, blah blah blah. Etsy's like structure and function claims, such as items which claim they may bleach or lighten or whiten the skin. So that's where that kind of comes into, like the anti-aging kind of stuff. Seller disclaimers. Medical claims prohibited by Etsy always violate our policies, regardless of any disclaimers by the seller. False claims. As with any item on Etsy, you may not knowingly make false claims. Similar prohibited items, medical drugs, regulated devices, numerous. This is where I'm going to get into the herbal substances, including THC and CBC or CBD. And then it just like, so do I know now what language I can use? What words are going to get me flagged? The only reason I can think of that got me flagged was because I said I was not claiming to treat, mitigate, diagnose, cure anything. I just said, hey, if you have epilepsy, don't use this product. And then they give you a whole list of, these are all clickable links to like, is it a United States FDA, is it a cosmetic drug or both? Or is it soap? Structure and function claims, medical food guidance, dietary supplements, Federal Trade Commission, Canada stuff, European Union stuff, France, it's like, this literally told me nothing. I'm like, no shit, I can't make medical claims. But, is listing a side effect or a potential, safety precaution a medical claim? I'm not claiming, I'm just saying, hey, don't take this if it's, if it can, so here's an example. The blood pressure medication I take, and this goes into the, metabolic functions and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of, what's the word for it? But, is it a gene? I'd have to look up the word, for it. But like, German chamomile essential oil can have adverse side effects depending on how much you use and how you use it if you're on the blood pressure medication I'm on. That's something I would like to know. Informed consent is important. That's something in especially more in the energy work fields, maybe not the broad witchcraft occult fields, but when you get into sort of energy work, whether that's Reiki or crystal healing, or whether you're going into like more traditional therapeutic herbalism and aromatherapy is informed consent. So, and well, I'm just going to put a little before I go into the herb part because this is the metaphysical part. So, and again, talk about vagary here. Metaphysical services such as Reiki and spellcasting are prohibited on Etsy. Uh huh. Yeah. Let's do a search on that right now. See how well you're enforcing that. With this in mind, tarot or psychic readings that include a physical or digital copy of said reading, recording, email, or tarot spread photo may be sold on Etsy. So if you're offering something of that variety, there has to be some kind of digital or physical tangible thing involved with that. Supplies related to spell work, such as herbs, candles, crystals, and tinctures, may be sold on Etsy as long as they are not listed with metaphysical claims. And those metaphysical claims are very similar to the way the medical claims are. Like, this money drawing oil may help you, what can I say about it now? This love spell, bath salts, shit, now I can't tell you what it's for. It's like, I don't understand how they expect their sellers to sell things when everything gets down. Like, yes, I realize, and that there are people that are unscrupulous and make wild claims, and people believe that bullshit because people sometimes want to believe the bullshit, and will spend tens of thousands of dollars on trying to believe that bullshit. So there's that. But I don't think that there's a problem, and that necessarily I am making, false claims if I say, I don't have anything close by. Let's see. I'm just gonna hold this bottle here. This is something else. This oil, is used for, attraction and attracting, whether it be money, a new job, a love interest, that sort of thing. It can be used for that. I'm not guaranteeing you any results. I'm not putting anything in there that is making a false claim, guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying this is you can use it. One of the ways you can use this. I haven't run into any policy violations with that yet, but I suspect it will be coming down the pike. So now this is the fun part, which gets me screwed every time. Outside of the medical claims, because now I've got to kind of figure that out, like, because I still don't know or if there's anything else lurking in the shadows. So like when the first couple the body oils got dinged, I went through and made sure all the rest of them that were on there also didn't have anything that mentioned aphrodisiac, because apparently that's something now that's on there. And just to make sure there was nothing in there that could be construed as a medical claim in that sense. So, and I'm gonna have to do that with like the crystal healing oils, because it's like, okay, if I'm selling an emotional trauma crystal healing oil, this is not going to cure your emotional trauma by like taking and going dripping some oil on or putting it in your bath. It's what we talk about in the industry, especially like on the aromatherapy side and herbalism and stuff. The more traditional thing is complementary alternative medicine. Get your therapy, take your meds, see your doc, take care of your mental health. This is something you can use ancillary to working through those issues, whether it's, emotional trauma, or if it's grief and loss or something like that. I'm not ever going to claim this is going to cure. It's something you can use as a complementary alternative medicine or practice modality, whatever word you want to use. So these are the 3 of the pages of the plants, herbs, seeds, and soil, of what all of the things are. So yes, like the lists that they have on here, Etsy currently, controlled, prohibits the sale of controlled substances, narcotics, marijuana, cannabis, CBD, and steroids. plant parts from which hallucinogenic substances can be made or are DMT, LSD, opiates, etc. There's particular plants like ayahuasca, yopo, kratom. Uh, some of these I don't even really know. Mimosa. Let's see. Hallucinogenic mushrooms, psilocybin, Amanita muscaria, which is the fly agaric, psychoactive cacti, which is, like your peyote kind of mescaline kind of things. And this is where any items presented as drug-like substances. So, and also one of the things they've done in here is they've classified a lot of things as synthetic cannabinoids, and Amazon has done that as well. Like things like Damiana and Clipdaga and wild lettuce, and anything that can be that's natural yet completely legal. I can go to my local herb store and buy a pound of wild lettuce, or lotus or whatever. Damiana I can get there. Clipdaga I get from another place, but anything that can get you high, according to their standards, is also prohibited. So, and that's like yohimba bark. I got something delisted earlier this year for yohimba bark. And also wild lettuce. I'm like, I still don't know why yohimba bark was on there. But they make their own thing. So no, hazardous plant materials. Like I know, like I don't sell. This is why I don't sell most of my flying ointments and tinctures, and well, the smoke blends you can't sell. I couldn't sell on there anyways. But certain nightshades, because let's not forget eggplants and tomatoes are nightshades, such as belladonna, datura, American black nightshade, hellebore. Let's see what other things that have there. Mandrake, mayapple, wolfsbane. It's got other things on here. Interesting. Tonka beans. Tonka beans are toxic. I just know I've bought tonka beans on there before, so that's funny. Bloodroot, iboga. Well, yeah. So now this is where it starts to get a little okay. So invasive species. Now, mind you, what the problem with this is it's across the board. Like Datura stramonium is an invasive species, a noxious weed. But I'm not selling live plants. I'm not selling seeds. Using it in a flying ointment or a tincture, while yes, that goes under the hazardous material and probably items presented as drug-like substances, it might otherwise get caught up in that invasive species because there are things that do qualify for that. So, and to figure that out, guess what we get? A whole bunch of lists because, if you sell international, not only do I need to know the US federal noxious weed list, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, endangered species, unidentified species, listing for plants and seeds must be identified. Grab bags or mystery listings are not. Regional requirements and restrictions, blah, blah, blah. So that goes into state and local laws about probably when it comes to that sort of thing. Certain plant material is restricted from import into the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. That goes more for live plants and stuff like that. So you notice how, so this is their official plants, herbs, and sort of thing. So I've had things delisted for containing pennyroyal. Was pennyroyal on here anywhere? No. Wild lettuce or opium lettuce, was that on here anywhere? No. Yohimba bark? No. Any of the other ones outside of the nightshades and obvious things? No. Where do I find that information? Fuck if I know. That's why I have to contact Etsy support every time I have something delisted, because fuck if I know why it got delisted. Because when I look in the ingredients and I don't see it on here and it's buried 20 pages deep in sub pages and somewhere else, how the fuck do I know? And if they don't respond to my emails, how the fuck am I gonna know? Like when I had something delisted for pennyroyal, I went through and made sure I took that out of all the other listings. When same thing with the other products, or I just don't sell them on there anymore, or I change the formulations in some of them. Like with pennyroyal, that one I think was excuse me, Ben. The pennyroyal one came suspiciously on the heels of the overturning of Roe versus Wade last year, because pennyroyal tea has been a notorious method of naturally flushing something out of your system that you no longer want, in order for your menses to start again and things to not be growing inside of you. So I don't think my Stop Gossip oil was going to cause that to happen, nor my Lucifuse Rofacal oil or Spellfire or whatever, or the Uncrossing bath salts. But here we are. So that is a lot of what I have to deal with selling on Etsy. And it is incredibly time consuming. I have to go through and rewrite probably 300 and something product descriptions and information, taking out all the tags and making sure the tags aren't violating policies, taking out the tags that go to ingredients and all of that too. There's no bulk way to do it, so I kind of have to manually go through. And I've done it on some, like as I've been releasing the new ritual oils in the 1 ounce size, that those are going through and getting completely rewritten and should be okay, but who knows? So, as I mentioned, the lack of customer service response from Etsy has been pretty shitty. Used to not be. I can't believe it was before Memorial Day, and now we're after the 4th of July and they still haven't responded. And I followed up with that twice, 2 or 3 times within that, and be like, hi, a response would be nice. Because what I've said I'm like, look, I am trying my best to adhere to these policies, but okay, I am an autistic disabled woman. I don't want to, have my shop closed down and end up on the street because I used the wrong word and I couldn't find in your thousands of links and documentation what the fuck I did wrong, and no one responded to me. I'm doing my best here. I'm highly educated in this, and it literally is a matter of wording. And even if that's the case, they won't relist your item for you. You have to create a whole new listing for it. So, which then I think probably also means, like, when you click on something, it shows you all the reviews. Any reviews for that item previously are now no longer there. I haven't tested that out, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So it's incredibly frustrating. And this is why I'm making this video and why I've mentioned it multiple times. And I know I'm about 40 minutes in and I still have this many notes to go through. Another thing that happened last year, or earlier this year rather, was the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, which screwed many sellers, including myself, because that was one of the banks Etsy was using as to distribute payments to their sellers. Last year, I think, and it sounds like it's one of those things, like it's good in theory, sometimes in practice not so much. So they have the purchase protection program. What drives me crazy with this is, like, so buyer orders something, it doesn't arrive, and they open a case, and sometimes Etsy just refunds them before I can even, like, it's like case open and close while I was asleep. And if you look at the timestamp on it, it was literally like 5 minutes. I'm like, I couldn't put any supporting documentation. I couldn't provide anything. They just refund the person. I've directed people to do that a couple of times, in which, Etsy has fucked up something on their end and the person didn't get it. Because apparently, you and I remember this from when I moved before, is you have to change your address in multiple places on Etsy, um, or you're gonna get things sent to old addresses. Because I have people, I just got, I get things back all the time, and I'm like, hey, this got returned. They're like, oh, I haven't lived at that address in 3 years. I'm like, well, Etsy thinks you do. So sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. Or if they do come back, a lot of times they're not resellable because they've been bouncing around for months on end. Um, Now, I mean, it is okay. There's a point at which the purchase protection program will start to be harmful if it's abused um, by buyers and stuff like that. One of the things, I never used this program personally, but Etsy, recently there used to be, I love the name of this. Unfortunately, there used to be a browser extension called Karen Check, and also Etsy Check, where you could go in, and you had a questionable customer, or a suspected Karen on your hand, you could put, it would pull in like all the reviews this person's left, and things like that. Which, because there are a lot of predatory people out there that just will, they'll get something, piss and moan, and leave a 1-star review and demand a refund just so they can get free shit. There's a lot of like shitty people out there. We deal with it all the time. I'm not going to mince words about and make excuses for it. There are just a lot of terrible people out there that want free things and don't care, about who gets screwed in the process. Like, if you want free shit from Walmart, go for it. Stop screening like individual artists and like small businesses. Ew, cringe. Um, the other part of this too is what gets annoying with all of this is legitimate sellers are constantly being punished when we've got so many scammers that are on. Like, I've seen so many, like, I think I was mentioned this recently, of, you know, rando company or rando person in Brazil selling PDF copies of lots of, newly released occult books. Well, it's not the author and it's not the publisher, so they're selling pirated materials. There's that. So that kind of scammy kind of stuff. Or the newest thing, and I'm sorry, I hate AI art and photography with a burning hot flaming passion. There'll be a video on that at some point in time. So now Etsy is now being flooded with just AI art shit. I'm sorry, plugging in a few keywords does not make you an artist. Plugging in a few keywords, getting your art generated, and then tweaking it in Photoshop does not make you an artist. You're basically just a visual plagiarizer. And you're a no talent hack, and you can go fuck yourself. I have some feelings on this as a professionally trained artist. So it's all people selling like Chat GPT prompts and AI generated art in quotes. And it's theft, because what people don't realize with these AI generator apps and websites is, okay, artists all have their images and photos and art and stuff on their websites. All of those things just scraped all that kind of art, everyone's different styles, put them in there, and now, without compensating those people, without their permission, and now you're going jumping Lucifer on a pogo stick, and it's pulling up somebody's, compiling this based on other artists' work, and now you can sell that, and you've done nothing. And it's so just egregious. And it's hitting the tarot community very hard, because now people are just generating schlock AI art tarot decks and undercutting, and people have worked years on developing solid quality like tarot and oracle decks, and now they're just like, oh, I made a whole tarot deck overnight, or I wrote a novel overnight, that sort of thing. The fuck you did. You put in some keywords. It's like me being like, hey, check out this rad Google search I did. Here, now pay me $50. Anyways, sorry, I digress on that. So and now Etsy is being overrun by AI schlock, which is kind of in that signal to noise ratio thing, and I feel really bad for digital artists who actually make digital art, um, and or physical art and stuff like that. That it's getting lost in the shuffle of this crap. So, thus concludes my 45-minute treatise on why I'm irked at Etsy. Dramatically swigs Diet Dr. Pepper. So, that being said, what can I do? So, if you remember last year, there was the Etsy seller strike, in I think it was like April or something like that. I mean, it didn't, a year later, it didn't really change much of anything when it comes to Etsy. In fact, Etsy, I think, has gotten worse since then. Um, what can we do as Etsy sellers? We can start divesting and moving our stuff elsewhere. Now that I have my new website launched, and mad props to Shopify. They're fucking amazing. Their customer service is like, I am, after I'm done here at some point, I need to hop on a chat with them to figure out because I'm trying to implement a free shipping over a certain threshold and a free domestic shipping over a certain threshold. But when I went to go set it up, it's like you need a code for it. I'm like, I just want this to be auto generated. But, anyways, so I got to figure that out. But, so what this means for me is I have slowly started rolling back perks on Etsy. I view Etsy and Amazon and eBay for what they are. They're convenience stores. If you're more comfortable shopping there and whatnot, you're not gonna get the sales. You're gonna pay more, um, because they're taking a huge cut. And then I have to deal with all these headaches for that. I don't have to deal with that for my own website. I mean, yes, I have to pay, well, because of the things I have to pay higher. I have to do, at least now I know there won't be any future problems with selling my flying ointments and stuff, but I had to move to a third party credit card processing uh, company. And with that, you have to do high risk registration every year, which is like, I have to pay like $1,000 every year combined to Etsy, to not Etsy, to MasterCard and Visa for the high risk registration thing. So, and there's a little higher processing fees for the credit cards, but nothing like what Etsy is taking or Amazon. So, um, but I have more control and autonomy with things with my website. I'm not going to get penalized if I don't answer your email within 30 seconds. You know, I try to, and I keep weird hours. So, but on Etsy, as of July 1st, I turned off the free shipping on orders over $35 because that was a perk of, well, if you offer, this was before the star seller. It was like, well, if you offer free shipping over 35, you get better placement in search results. Um, but you still also kind of have to pay for advertising to get better things in search results. So I would rather just, pay, whatever I'm doing right now, $15, $20, not, I don't think it's that much, like $10 a day for, Etsy advertising or whatever. But I'm no longer doing the free shipping on orders over 35 because the problem is you can't set your own threshold for those things. And, sometimes, especially on the weight of things, I mean, that can be in, even using the cheapest shipping, like it can end up being a lot, you know, because really honestly, like sending anything, even, uh, with the US mail system, like sending things, once you get past the Mississippi, it goes up exponentially in price. So what costs me, $7 to ship, on the East Coast costs me probably like at least 12 or more, or even a lot more, to ship it to like Washington. So I turned off. Now I'm going to say with this, any previously issued like coupons for like abandoned cart or favorite or thank you will still work. I'm just not issuing any more. I turned off those features as well. Um, I am no longer offering the clearance items on Etsy. Those are only going to be available on our website, and those are always going to be at 50% off. And any limited quantity items, because it is just my inventory system is a pain in the ass sometimes, but that's a whole other issue. But to have to kind of keep track of inventory, so I'm not like overselling something that I'd only have a limited amount of, is a giant pain. So um limited quantity items are only going to be available on our website. Um, Obviously, due to the restrictions, the flying ointments, tinctures, and smoke blends are only available on our website. There are a few of the non-toxic tinctures and flying ointments on Etsy for now, but again, if you want our full range of products and offerings, our website is where you should go. And we're really working to develop a lot more customer perks for that. Um, I probably after the July 4th sale ends, I outside of like the Halloween to Christmas time, I don't think I'm gonna be doing any unless I decide otherwise on whim. I don't think I'm gonna be doing any other sales on Etsy. Um, Yeah, and I don't know why my text messages go to my Mac laptop. I thought I didn't set that up, but apparently I did. Um, Now, I want to add one caveat to that because I do have some international customers due to foreign bank accounts and credit cards have to use Etsy to process the payments. Like sometimes like PayPal doesn't even work for that. So in those cases, we will honor our policies that are on our website, and I will just create a custom listing for you for the amounts, including everything for that. And do it through Etsy. I don't want to screw anyone over. That's their only way that they purchase things. I do have a fair amount of international customers. So just to reiterate, our website perks are you've got our full catalog of products. We'll have exclusive sales, more shipping. We have more shipping options. So we have like UPS, and I highly recommend that for international shipping because the regular shipping internationally is a pain. We'll have rewards programs. I'm looking at into like loyalty programs, like so for every dollar spent, you get X points. Um, we're trying to work out the free shipping on orders over $100 domestic. But that will come out. I will announce that on social media and stuff when that gets launched. Our clearance items are only available now on the website, and those are 50% off. You can purchase gift cards on our website, and you'll also have access to signing up for our e-newsletter. You will also, I upload all of our videos and blog posts from our YouTube channel to the website. So I'm under the blog, so there's a lot more content there. Um, I'm looking on building out a lot more features and stuff over time. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I'm looking to make this a much more robust experience for my customers because I do love you all. You've supported me now for like 5 years. Um, so yeah, and like there's a code on if you go to the website. There's $5 off your. It's a single use code, so even if you've ordered before, you can still use it. But it's $5 off your first order. Um, and I'll probably be doing some promotions around signing up for our email list too. And I'll be sending these out. So I realized I spelled videos with 2D on it, but anyways, I'll have to fix that for next time. So I'm starting to send out little flyers with all the orders that come in from like the other place, Amazon, Etsy, whatnot. I mean, I love the convenience of Amazon, but I don't use fulfillment by Amazon. So I may do that at some point, but maybe I'll test it out for the holidays or something. But um, yeah. So the TLDR here is Etsy needs to do better. It has not been. I'm in different like seller groups on Etsy and stuff like that. This is I am not the only person shouting into the void here. This does affect us all. I personally, unless someone only has an Etsy shop, and there are people who do, for a while, yeah, for a while in the beginning. I mean, I think I really only had an Etsy shop. Um, if I can avoid buying things on Etsy at this point, I will look up and see if you have a website and I will order it there. I because for all this fun and despite what I get charged for the monthly fee for let's see what did I get charged here? Okay, so my average so between the credit card the credit card monthly for the third party thing and for Etsy. So say $150. That's what it cost me a month. I pay over $1,000 a month just in Etsy fees alone. That doesn't include advertising because that's probably another math hard. If I do $10 to $15 a day in advertising, then there's 30 days in a month. So add that in there as well. So let's just say it costs me $1,500 a month to sell on Etsy. It costs me $150 a month to sell on my own website. I feel that way about other creators. I would rather them get that money than padding the corporate coffers of Etsy at this point. So support small businesses and individual artists. Fuck AI art and photography. And for the love, all that is holy and unholy and otherwise not specified, please shop on our websites. We like that. It makes us happy. Anyways, I love you all. I will be continuing to bring you updates as I roll out new things on our website. Just know that because right now, as of July 2023, I am in the process of getting my house on the market, selling my house, moving, buying a house, and all that stuff. So the next few months are going to be crazy as. But which is, I picked this time because generally speaking, sales are a little slower in the summer. So the volume isn't as crazy. Like I don't want to be moving at Christmas time. Please, I don't want to be moving at Christmas time. Anyways, I love you all. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.